the headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by Mayfield Brain & Spine.
Morning, everybody, and welcome to What's Happening in Health. So glad you're joining us this Sunday morning. My name is Liz Bonus, and we have a great show for you today of hope and healing. We get to begin by celebrating people who have been given a second chance at life through organ donation. We want to welcome our team from Network for Hope, Barry Massa, Andy Johnson in the house. They are going to tell us about a wonderful anniversary they are celebrating and share how we can all team up to attend a special event and show our support. Plus, a major renovation now complete at a local independent living campus. It has new options for those who live there and for those who live nearby. We want to welcome Vicki Hackman. Vicki's here. Give me a quick hello there. Hi, Vicki. She is from Life Enriching Communities, and she's going to share more on how this is helping all of them in the community. But first, we do want to start today with some new research on the brain. It's giving us new hope. The team at Mayfield Brain & Spine telling us that we now know how to trace some of the causes of stroke and injury to the brain, which helps identify early warning signs. It could lead to new ways to prevent strokes. Here's Dr. Andy Ringer.
It's also true that stroke can happen from a number of different problems. One might be a problem with the blood clotting in your circulatory system, so we have to use certain blood thinners. It might be a funny rhythm in your heart or a problem with a heart valve that's causing the clots, and those are also treated with a particular kind of blood thinners. Or it could be what we call the rust in the pipes or atherosclerotic disease, hardening of the arteries, and we use a different category of medications for those problems.
Well, if you've been told that you've had a series of small strokes or they do run in your family, you can reach out to a specialist at Mayfield Brain & Spine, 513-221-1100. And there is new news in heart disease today as well. Drug maker Merck now saying it has developed a new daily cholesterol pill that can dramatically lower your LDL or your bad cholesterol. It's an alternative to some of the expensive medications, the monoclonal antibody injection that few Americans can take right now. The study looks at nearly 3,000 adults. After 24 weeks, they found their LDL numbers dropped by almost 60%. Participants also took their daily statin, and the two pills work differently to tackle high cholesterol. Dr. Celine Grounder says it is important to be a little cautious as these results in the data not yet published in a medical journal for peer review.
Until we see that data, you have to be a little skeptical. And then there are other things in terms of the study. They only looked at the LDL numbers. They didn't actually look at did it prevent heart attack and stroke. And ultimately, that's what matters here.
Merck expected to submit the drug data for FDA approval next year, with it possibly becoming available in 2027. There is no word yet on just how costly this medication may be. In Healthy Innovations today, addressing the need for more healthcare professionals in our community, the Christ Hospital, Miami University, they formed an educational partnership with Northeast Ohio Medical University. The goal is to provide future generations of physician-enhanced training for medical careers. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services projects that Ohio will face a shortage of 1,200 primary care physicians over the next decade. This collaboration means medical students can do clinical rotations at the Christ Hospital starting next July, and there will also be an early assurance program for Miami students interested in attending Northeast Ohio Medical University. All right, coming up, we're going to meet our Hawksworth Donor of the Week. We'll tell you why hospitals have a high demand for certain blood products as well this time of year. And we welcome Barry and Andy. They're hanging out with us, going to talk to us about Network for Hope. It's all next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Life Enriching Communities and Hawksworth.
In our Donor of the Week, that person just donated platelets with Hawksworth for the first time, so we want to introduce you to Grace Edmonston from Fairfield. She took part in our blood drive that was hosted by the Cincinnati Cyclones at Heritage Bank Arena. Edmondson was asked if she would be willing to give platelets instead of whole blood, and she did her homework and found out that because they have a low shelf life or a short time that they last on the shelf, hospitals have an ongoing high need for those products.
something as easy as sitting in a chair for an hour is helping someone else go through a very difficult part of their life. So it's really nice to step up and help in the community.
Now, as a reminder, if you give blood in the month of November at any Hawksworth Donor Center, you'll receive this Cincinnati Cyclones Performance Hoodie. It's a really cool sweatshirt. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, they'd love to hear from you. 513-451-0910, or you can schedule online or through the Hawksworth app. We have a link with more information at what'shappeninginhealth.com. All right, wonderful transition. You need blood and blood products for what you do.
It's
so we
true.
want to introduce
That's
our
true.
team from Network for Hope. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Barry Massa, I'm the CEO for Network for Hope.
And what is Network for Hope?
We're the organ procurement organization that does organ, tissue, and eye donation, not only in greater Cincinnati, but the whole state of Kentucky, parts of West Virginia, and parts of Indiana.
And that was a recent expansion.
Yeah, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary of our merger with Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates and Life Center, which was the organ procurement organization based in Cincinnati. And we actually had an internal campaign leading up to the merger that was called Better Together. And we did Better Together 2.0 with the 1-year anniversary. So it was really neat.
So what does that mean? Andy Johnson, tell us a little bit about you.
Andy Johnson. I am Vice President of Marketing and Community Engagement at Network for Hope.
So does 2.0 mean we were able to grow the base?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we grew the base. We actually had 98,000 people over the last year register as organ, eye, and tissue donors, which was fantastic. But we
That's
really,
almost 100,000 people.
it's
Yes.
almost 100,000 people. It was great. It was
Wow.
fantastic. And given everything that has been going on, that's really amazing. And I think it really speaks to the testimony of things like you do, Liz, to raise awareness that it really does work, you know?
You know, I believe in it so much, and when you see how you serve and you see the people's lives who are saved, it's hard not to be a fan. But I'm curious, what do you find out? Like, what's the thing that influences getting those numbers the most? Do we know?
I really attribute it to just, I think it's people really seeing and hearing the stories of the people impacted by the gift of donation. I think when people are really able to connect and humanize what organ donation is and how it has a ripple effect on the families of the recipients, the communities that they live, work, and play in, I think that really helps people understand why this is so important.
And by that, do you mean one owner or one donor can really do eyes, tissue? You know, you can change lots of
Yeah, and
lives.
it's not only the recipient getting that gift. I think everybody could understand that and feel warm about that. But that donor family, that really helps with their grief process as well.
Yeah.
And it really kind of gives them purpose as far as their unexpected death of a loved one.
Right.
You know, I have heard that from many people. You know, at least I know his eyes are helping someone see,
Right.
and you know, and it's hard to talk about because you almost feel like you're going to jinx it, and so people don't, which is
Yes.
really, you know, I know you've had to overcome things like that.
Yes,
to get people to
educate.
have an important conversation.
Yes, education is key, and to your point, you know, when you do register to be a donor, tell your family what your decision is. It's so important to have those conversations. So we just encourage people to learn more about the process. There is a lot of misinformation out there, but Network for Hope is really committed to just continuing to build trust in the public around this process and how life-saving and enriching it is.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Well, we know you have a breakfast coming up. We have a few photos from a previous year. Let's talk about this. What's the community breakfast? Why do you hold it? That kind of thing.
This is really just Network for Hope's mission-centric event. This is a celebration of the work that is done throughout the year to help the community through organ, tissue, and eye donation. And so we've got over 500 people attending. We'll be at Sharonville Convention Center on Tuesday, November 18th. And it's just a great celebration of the mission.
It really just personifies our mission, right? It's our mission wrapped up into one event because it's about the recipients, the donor families, those waiting. It's everything in one great event.
Yeah, I looked up your mission just to sort of do a little background on this new organization, this partnership, and it says our goal is to just really shrink the wait times. And you don't think about that because there's a very small population that says yes.
Right.
And so the fewer people say yes, the longer those wait times are.
Well, the average length for somebody on the wait list to get a kidney is 4 years. That's what people advocate to get a living donor because it could be quicker. But for a deceased donor, that's an average of 4 years. That's 4 years that person is going on dialysis and all the other health issues that come with that. So if we could give people their life-saving gift sooner, that's better for everybody.
Yeah, it's a wonderful mission.
Right.
All right, so last question. I feel like every time you're here, we should talk about the myth and dispelling the myths. That if I choose to become an organ donor, you're going to let me not live in the hospital. You're not going to do everything to save me, because it comes up every time you talk to someone.
That is by far the biggest myth, and it's not just in greater Cincinnati area, it's nationwide. And that is far from the truth. And if I could have that magic thing that says I could do one thing in life, that would be it, to dispel this myth, because people just have that perception, what they see on TV. And I hate to say this, but what people see on TV about organ, eye, and tissue donation is rarely true. The organs actually do go into cooler. That is true. But otherwise, not so much.
Well, we're grateful that you're here. We're grateful that you share your mission.
Yes.
Let's just share with people one more time about the breakfast coming up on Tuesday.
Yes.
We put a link so you can register. You can still get tickets now
Yes.
through the rest of the day. And we will have that at what'shappeninginhealth.com. Andy, we love you. Barry,
Thank
thanks
you.
for
Thank you
Great to
sticking
see
for
you.
the mission and being tireless in that message. It's really important.
Well, thank you for everything you do for us.
God bless you guys.
Thank you.
All right, a major renovation project is now completed at a local independent living community. We're going to talk to Vicki Hickman about that. She's here from Life Enriching Communities. Glad to have you in-house. We'll share more on how it's changing the West Side coming up on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Miami University, the Vein Center of Cincinnati, and Lindner Center of Hope.
In healthy diversity, more Americans, especially Black Americans, are dying before they can address their Medicare benefits. Researchers from Brown and Harvard University found that premature deaths among adults ages 18 to 64 rose 28% from 2012 to 2022 among white Americans and 38% among Black Americans. This highlights disparities in healthcare. U.S. life expectancy has been falling now for the last decade. All right, on now to a wonderful segment we have here called Aging Gracefully. And we do this because we like to learn about places that people can live in our community where they can get help, but also that you can share the passion that you have for education and people kind of all stages of life. So tell us who you are and what you do with Life Enriching Communities.
I am Vicki Hickman. I'm the Executive Director of Twin Towers, which is located on the west side of Cincinnati.
Been there a while.
For 8 years.
Yeah, and how about the facility itself? You've had a project in the works now for how long?
More than a couple of years.
Yeah.
Feels like too long. But we are a life plan community. So we have independent living, assisted living, memory support, skilled nursing, and rehab at our campus. And we made the decision to invest $50 million in an expansion project, which helped us build a brand new assisted living neighborhood and a very large dining venue called the Bistro.
And the Bistro's open, like all of us can come and dine, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We've been there, had a chance to see it, so we want to share a little of that with you. As she mentioned, Life Enriching Communities celebrating this recent expansion. They call it the Greeno Building, and part of it in this new design at Twin Towers, as you call it, is in College Hill on the campus there. So watch this. For the people who live here at this independent and assisted living facility, this renovation and expansion, just another way they feel welcome.
I most enjoy just the whole atmosphere. It's such a welcoming, friendly place to be.
But what you see here, a labor of love that will expand nutrition options and a whole lot more.
And we have created a second dining venue called the Bistro. We've also created a new assisted living unit neighborhood for our residents.
The goal is that once you choose a place to plan for a healthy future,
they don't have to move multiple times. They can move to this location and everything is here, all the support that they need. And that at that point in your life, as things go along, that's a huge thing.
The project has had several phases that started a few years ago, but the goal was to have this area become a hub for activities.
We know that socialization and community is the key to a happy, well-lived, long life.
And non-activities, if you wish. Frida's Place, named after the wife of a resident, allows you just to sit with others.
We know from research that people generally live longer in this type of environment than they do by themselves.
There's still more changes and construction to come. But for now, Deb McAllister, looking forward to the expansion and the added activities this will provide.
There's painting classes and photography classes and just so many things.
So we want to kind of talk about that community there. One of the things that we love is that you have educational programs and activities and things like that, and you invite families in, you invite people to come out. So tell me just a little bit about what happens there in that beautiful space we see.
Well, we have a variety of events and programs that we do. Our residents are particularly interested in the arts and music, so we have entertainers coming in 2 to 3 evenings per week. We have art classes such as painting, drawing, photography. We have Spanish class. We have lots of resident clubs and groups, in fact, that go on. In addition to plays, our residents actually write and direct their own plays and act them out. So we have all kinds of artistic endeavors going on there.
So one of the things that's been very interesting is we've talked to people, like you say, they write their own plays, is that many people say, I don't want to go live in a community, and yet once they get there, they find that the interaction is really powerful. What have we learned about that in terms of stimulation and living longer and all that?
Absolutely. There are so many studies that have proven that a long, healthy life, your health span, not just your lifespan, but your health span is improved with meaningful social interactions. And so we provide anything from, for the most introverted person, very light social interactions, being part of a community with dining, breakfast, lunch, dinner, plus all kinds of events where we have food-related activities that go on. All the way up to writing and directing and starring in your own play. So it's really the interaction that you want.
People cheering you on. You can go and support that. So as you've sort of grown this community, one of the things that I know I've learned is, boy, I wish I planned for that. But you also have an interesting model that you're a nonprofit. Can you tell me just a little bit about that?
Yes, that's an important distinction in senior living, because when you move into Twin Towers, you are investing in your future. And though you may very well outlive your resources, you will never be asked to move out of your home. So that's why it's called Life Plan Community. People will stay there for life. And we have so many residents who are over 100 years old, and they do outlive their resources, and they feel so blessed to be part of a community where they never have to leave and they're always provided for.
And just the comfort that is, as a family member, that you feel like they're going to be able to stay where they know the atmosphere and the people know them. So my understanding is you have a foundation, and that helps support that for life.
Yes, the foundation, we have several donors that contribute to what we call benevolent care. And so the benevolent care fund is what fills the gap between what the residents can provide and the cost of the care services.
So are people surprised when you tell them that?
Yes.
Yeah, because you always think well, what happens if I run out of money, which, always comes up. So what is it that, as you've been there this 8 years and now you've seen this growth, I've heard that the over 65 population is going to be more than the 18 population and younger within, the next decade or so. What are we learning about, keeping these people well?
Again, it goes back to socialization being really the key factor, and can even overcome, biological health conditions. So it's found to be even more important than that. And what we've learned is that when you intentionally design spaces that promote socialization and community, then these things just naturally happen, and the residents just live longer, fulfilled lives. We have residents there who volunteer and they feel that vocational wellness through participating in work groups, doing things like putting on programs for other residents, such as the play. But they have worked, they provided over 7,000 volunteer hours last year, which is more than we've ever had. And this new generation of residents who are moving into senior living, they want to do that. You know, they have a lot of experience, they have a lot of knowledge, and they want to share that with other residents as well as our associates. So they bring a huge value to us.
Yeah, and then in the community, that's how it grows. Yeah. Well, we love what you do. It's interesting to hear about it, and I think, you know, just listening to your passion, you know, I know that you're caring for them, and they love that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, great to have you here. All right, for more information on Life Enriching Communities, we always put up a 1-800 number. They'll let you take a tour, right?
Yes.
And just let you kind of see what we showed you there on some of that video. 877-532-1899. Or if you want to go see one of those plays, you can call up and find out when they are. They're really fun to see because we've seen the music, them do the music groups before, and it is really fun to watch. So thanks a lot, Vicki. Great to meet you. All right, mental health and artificial intelligence. We're going to tell you why counselors are saying beware. Plus, Stephanie Cunningham's here. She's got our model, Ashley. Good to have you guys. They do something really interesting with sort of the motto that one size does not fit all. Stay with us. We'll tell you about that in our next half hour on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Network for Hope and William E. Hesch Law.
In Hope You Know, which is what we hope you know about your mental health each week, a warning to anyone using artificial intelligence as a go-to for mental health help. OpenAI recently released new data, and it says that more than 1 million people who use ChatGPT every week now show the potential for suicidal planning or intent. That's a quote. The problem with AI in any form, however, is that as much as it might seem human, the technology does not have any feelings or understanding of what you're going through. The Linder Center of Hope shared this with us. They said depending on the AI that you use, it's not a substitute for emotional support. It's actually dangerous because artificial intelligence gives you a sense of safety when you're not really in a safe relationship.
There's this kind of dangerous aspect of a substitute for real therapy, for real problems. You know, there is no duty to warn. There is no ethics. You know, there is no legal element that AI has to do as opposed to a real therapist.
If you do need attention or you're having a mental health crisis, we remind you the Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 988. And if you call that, it will connect you, or text it. It will connect you to people in your area. It's all free and confidential. All right, and you're so vain today. If you've noticed, it's getting harder to walk, especially at the end of the day. Dr. Andrew Hearn of the Vein Center of Cincinnati says you may want to ask your doctor to refer you for an ultrasound of your blood flow. If the blood is flowing in the wrong direction in your veins, it can cause swelling and achiness. A simple medication injected into the vein can reverse this, and you get kind of a lighter feeling with your steps then by the end of the day. You can also be treated with radio frequency ablation to open the vein if needed.
Usually the number of treatments on the legs is between 2 and 4, and you can double that because there's 2 legs. We treat each segment of refluxing or dysfunctional vein separately on separate days.
Dr. Andy's team will do a free virtual consult if you think you may have this problem. Their number 513-232-2400. Well, November is Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, and ahead we'll share details on some of the newest treatment options and how they are giving hope to those battling this disease. Plus, attorney and CPA Bill Hesch is here. Hey, good to have you back. He's going to tell us about some important changes that we need to know about before the end of the year. Those write-offs, yeah, believe it or not, tax season's coming up. Stay with us here on What's Happening in Health.
The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by TriHealth.
Welcome back, everybody, to our second half hour here on What's Happening in Health. So glad you're staying with us today. Standard sizing for women's clothing doesn't work for a lot of people. So Northern Kentucky women trying to change some of that, give us choices. We want to welcome Stephanie Cunningham. She's here with Ashley, her model. She's going to share a little bit more about what she calls my sizeology. Yeah, what is that? Maybe something that would make you feel more comfortable, more confident. We're so glad you guys are here. We'll talk to you more coming right up. And as we approach the end of the year, from healthcare expenses to charitable giving, we knew who to ask those questions. All those things you need to line up right now. Attorney and CPA Bill Hesh back in the house. Good to have you here. He's going to share a little bit more with us about our preparations and the things we need to kind of get in order before the end of the year. But first, our top story this half hour, November Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. And we had an important conversation this week with Dr. Benjamin Kuritsky. He is a medical oncologist at the Tri-Health Cancer Institute who shared with us what we know and what we don't about this illness, beginning with the early warning signs of pancreas cancer, which are often very different, he says, for each person.
It can present with nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, sometimes diabetes, abdominal pain, and sometimes it can sort of be felt almost like back pain because of the location of the pancreas within the abdomen.
It's generally treated with chemotherapy, Dr. Kuritsky says, sometimes before or even after surgery. One procedure in those who are candidates is called a Whipple procedure.
The Whipple procedure is just a name for a surgery where a tumor that is near the head of the pancreas or a different nearby portion called the uncinate process is removed in a surgery that removes parts from nearby organs as well.
One of the growing areas of research helping some stabilize with this illness is called immunotherapy.
The job of the immune system is manifold, but one of them is to try and detect and eliminate cancerous cells as they develop. And this is happening all the time in our bodies. And these drugs, what they do is that they try and further activate the immune system to do just that.
As for any common signs in those who do well once diagnosed with this disease?
That's a great question. I think we're still trying to identify factors that contribute to someone doing really well with their pancreas cancer. I think patients that are able to tolerate their treatments and get through their treatments in totality certainly help. I think patients that are generally healthier and able to have a healthy and active lifestyle after treatment probably do better as well, although we still need more research to back that up.
If you have any of these unusual symptoms, he recommends you reach out to your primary care doctor. And if you need one, the Tri-Health team can be reached at 513-853-2100. In Ask a Nurse today, we ask about new guidelines for doulas, which are often quite a part of healthcare, but not for everyone. We have some video of the nursing students at Mount St. Joseph University, and they are preparing for careers in all kinds of nursing. Tri-Health has just announced this week that they have a new doula-friendly guideline, and under these guidelines, the providers there and the staff will work together with teams of doulas to help patients who want this as part of a birth process. This next generation will likely work with those in this profession quite often. A doula, if you're not familiar, is a trained professional who provides non-medical support during pregnancy, labor, even postpartum recovery. They kind of stay with you through that process. And listen to this today. New study shows how babies are now able to recognize the sound of a mother's voice at a very young age. Researchers in Germany looked at brain activity in infants. They found at 7 months old, babies are far more attuned to mom's voice compared to a stranger's voice. Being able to distinguish different voices also helps infants distinguish different faces as well. Researchers say this can also help babies learn important social skills. While many women have learned the hard way that finding clothes that are just the right fit, not an easy thing. So we know who to ask about that. Stephanie's here with Ashley. They're going to tell us about sizeology, how it's changing clothing for women in our community. Stay with us on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Metro.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Happening in Health. We are really excited to talk to the team here today from My Sizeology. So, Stephanie, tell us about you. What is My Sizeology?
Well, My Sizeology is a custom clothing company. Our first products are blue jeans. We make them to fit your body. So we have a 10-second body scan that collects over 70 points of measurement, and from that we can plot out your perfect design and cut your denim to fit you perfectly.
Yeah, I would almost say to you that it's an oxymoron to have jeans that fit your body because they never do. You can bring 16 pairs in to try them on. So, and you have a wonderful model with us. Tell us about you.
My name's Ashley, and I've been working with Stephanie for the last couple months, and it's been a really great experience. I have on my Sociology jeans today, and they fit perfect. I always have trouble with length. I'm short. So it was really great to put these on and know that I didn't have to alter them at all in the length. They hug my hips the exact way that I like them to, and they're just a really great custom pair of jeans. There's a lot of different options you can choose to.
All right, so would you mind if I ask you to stand up?
Sure.
Because we can't quite see the jeans.
That's
right. But she's a model by profession, so she doesn't mind this. So talk me through what made those jeans kind of fit her.
Sure. So we got her body measurements, and then we cut out the pattern to fit her specific shape. So instead of using standard sizing, we just use body measurements, which gives us the ability to give her a perfect fit.
You mentioned the length. You almost always have to have something altered if you want them to be the right length.
Yep.
And then, I noticed the pockets. Did you have a choice?
Yes, you do actually, Liz. You can design your own pair of jeans, or you can choose from the styles that I've pre-designed.
And I have to say, without trying to stare at your butt, you have an awesome design on those.
Yes.
Do you get to pick that too?
You do get to pick that.
Yeah.
We have several different choices for the back pocket embroidery.
That's really, and are they stretchy? You can
That's one thing I love about them. They are a little stretchy, but I love that they hold their shape. So sometimes you put on a pair of jeans and they stretch out. You go to put them on again the next day and they don't fit the same.
Yeah, and then you go to wash them, but you got to stretch them just right before you put them in the dryer.
Yeah, absolutely.
we know all the tricks, don't
right.
we? Yeah, they're really cute. So we have some pictures you sent us kindly to see kind of some of what you've done. Let's show those and have you talk me through just a little bit of what I'm looking at as I see these.
Sure. That's Laurel. So I started my clothing line in 2019, and I drew patterns and I put them on clothes. Ashley's wearing one of my tops now, and the dress there. But that's Laurel. She's wearing a pair of blue jeans. They're kind of a legging style blue jean. They fit you really tight and.
Yeah, and some people do great with leggings, and some of us don't. Yeah,
right.
And those are really pretty. I noticed that your colors are, just.
Yes, I have this thing for color. Yeah. I love color.
There's a lot of evidence that helps your mood and all the rest of that.
Absolutely.
So, did you say that you also made Ashley's shirt?
I did.
Okay, so tell me about the shirt process.
Okay, so the shirt, I design the pattern. Usually I draw on my iPad, and then a couple of years back I learned how to put my drawings onto digital so I could put them on clothing. So these are all made on demand. The same with the jeans, everything is made on demand so that we don't have waste. And
tell me about the length of the shirt. Is that made to her? Because sometimes they're really long and you can't tuck them in. And
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty.
Yeah. These are actually standard size clothing. The tops are right now. We're moving to the made-to-measure model on everything, though, eventually.
And who makes them? Do you have a team that you send them to, or how does that work?
Yeah, I have a couple of ladies around town that have been helping me sew the samples, and we just launched in August, so things are going really well.
So where did this come from? Were you just frustrated? I always love the story behind the story,
Yes, I was frustrated. I was depressed. It was terrible. Anytime I go to try clothes on, I grab a bunch of stuff, go in the dressing room, and nothing fits, ever. So I leave the store. But this one particular day, I left the store and I was crying because I couldn't find anything. And I cried all the way home, and that's when I decided that I was going to start this made-to-measure piece of my clothing line right now.
Well, good for you, because a lot of us start crying and we don't ever get that far.
Yes, and a lot of us feel like there's something wrong with our bodies, when in actuality there's nothing wrong with your body. It's standard sizing that is the problem. We don't fit people into standard. We think they're unique and individual, so we make things for that person particularly.
So Ashley, how do you feel when you're wearing something that's made for you?
I feel really great. Like I said, I've had the opportunity to wear a couple pieces. There's a particular blue dress that I've had the opportunity to wear that I really love, and it fits my body really great. And then, yeah, having custom jeans that are made for you that you know are going to fit, it's a really good feeling.
I think it was smart that you started with jeans because they're probably everyone's biggest frustration. I don't even find them comfortable most of the time. Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, you have some pop-up things that we can come to this month, so just tell me about that.
Sure. We're going to be down at the Aviator Accelerator. We will have the design your own jeans stuff there, so I can walk you through the process. And there's also going to be a few other vendors there, jewelry and pottery and stuff. So it should be a really good time. We're really excited about it.
And those are weekends starting in the holiday shopping
Yes,
time.
ma'am.
We'll put that information at what'shappeninginhealth.com. Last question, reasonable cost?
$150.
Oh my goodness. I've spent more for jeans than that don't fit.
Right, exactly.
And then they're like in my closet, and I feel really bad that I spent that much
Exactly,
money on them.
exactly.
Well, thank you for being a brave sport. Yeah. I know it would make me self-conscious if somebody looked at my jeans, but I'm excited that you feel good in them. Yeah. And your concept is great.
Thank
it really
you, Liz.
is.
I
It's
appreciate
very, very
that.
interesting. All right, thanks for being here today. Again, we'll put that information at what'shappeninginhealth.com. All right, treating the painful and difficult symptoms of menopause. Coming up, we're going to share some information about warning labels that's changing, a new treatment option. And the end of the year will be here before we know it. So look who's in the house. CPA and attorney Bill Hesch joining us. He's got some great ideas as we get ready for preparing for the tax season. Stay with us on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Northern Kentucky Audiology.
In Look Good, Feel Better, today the team at the Advanced Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center has personalized hormone therapy consultations. And now there are new recommendations for hormone therapy for some women. You may want to consult with a person, a healthcare provider. They have a team called the Healthy Vitality Team that will do this with you. But the FDA is no longer going to require black box labels with hormone therapies. There's been a long-standing FDA warning that said that some of these drugs that treated hot flashes and night sweats and other symptoms could increase the risk for breast cancer, heart attacks, strokes, dementia. It is going to be removed from more than 20 pills, patches, creams. The change is now supported by the medical professionals, including the FDA commissioner, who called the current label outdated and unnecessary as we've learned more about risk.
We are listening to doctors who have been waving the flag in the air saying, hey, we have this wrong. We are listening to women who have been challenging the paternalism of medicine.
So health officials say that there are several studies now that suggest hormone therapy has few risks when started before the age of 60 or within 10 years of menopause symptoms. Other experts have vigorously opposed making changes to the labels, however. Transparency in this process is what they say this is all about. The FDA says that it has convened an independent set of advisors to publicly consider any revisions. The FDA says that hormone therapy still carries some risks for women, and no patient should go on this without first talking to their own healthcare provider. All right, for more information on some of these treatments, we invite you to call that Healthy Vitality Team, 513-351-3223. All right, on now to our wonderful friend, Bill Hesch. We are glad to have you back. I always believe that health is body, mind, and soul. I've heard that the number one thing we stress about is money. So yes. I'm grateful that you've been part of our resources. and I've heard that's the thing that troubles relationships. And
number one problem.
Yeah, stresses us out, leads to families breaking up.
Yes.
So, you know, people are like, why do you talk about taxes? Well, we're all going to pay them. So a couple things I asked you. I heard that there are a lot of changes going on to the end of the year tax write-offs.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, the new tax bill that was passed this year has identified changes to charitable donations that are going to be effective in 26, not this year, but there might be some year-end tax planning need to do. And so where we start at is most people do not itemize deductions. 90% of the people, that's Schedule A, yes. And one of the reasons is state and local taxes were limited to $10,000. And so now it's going to be increased to up to $40,000 with certain limitations.
For charitable donation?
No, for taxes.
Oh, for
which
taxes.
then allows people to donate which means then you can deduct your charitable donations then.
Okay, so explain that to me.
Yes.
I can have up to $40,000 worth of deductions?
Of state and local taxes. It used to be you had real estate taxes and income taxes, and it was limited to $10,000, so most people don't itemize.
Okay.
It took it away. Now it's going to open up next year, though.
That you can have $40,000 worth of taxes that you can write off
you
these
can
things
deduct,
against.
which takes you over the threshold.
Okay.
So that affects then charitable donations. The reason I say that is one of the important changes is beginning next year, if you do not itemize, if you're single, you can deduct $1,000 a year in charitable donations on top of it. And if you're married, you can deduct $2,000. So there's a lot of people out there that donate to their church and whatever else. They need to know that if they're in that, and a lot of people they donate $1,000 or $2,000. They're not, people are paycheck to paycheck these days. So you need to know that you don't need to make a donation in November, December. If you wait till January, you'll get a tax deduction.
For next year?
For next year.
Okay.
And
what about some of the other things we're hearing about that you can write off? Can you write off your health care expenses? What are the main deductions?
The problem there, it's your itemized deductions, so it's medical expenses. The problem with medical expenses, very few people write off medical expenses because 7.5% of your income is not deductible. So there's a threshold you got to reach. So normally you can't deduct medical expenses unless you have a surgery, some major medical expense that's not covered, braces, something major that is expensive. Then you look at taxes, mortgage interest, and charitable donations. The other thing for charitable donations that's important that I want to mention, there's a lot of people out there that do have a high income. So they're in the highest tax bracket. Okay, they do donate to charity. Okay. Well, they need to know that beginning next year, 0.5% of their income is not deductible. So if they, this is a client that might make $500,000. Well, they're not going to be able to deduct 0.5% for charitable donations. It's limited.
So is it because of the income level that you're limited?
No, it's a new law. It changes next year.
Oh my
goodness. So the point is if you are a large donor, which doesn't affect a lot of people, but it's important that people that are donating that have maybe $500,000, $1 million in income, those individuals should be trying to make some donations this year, especially they would donate this year and 26 and 27 this year because they're going to avoid that limitation. If they're in the highest tax bracket, you lose 2% of your deduction. So that's another change that's affected next year.
So it's going to change.
It's going to change next year. So if you have a large income and you're in the highest tax bracket, those individuals need to consider making major donations this year. The other thing that you should consider, quite frankly, if you're donating to charity, is what's called a qualified charitable distribution from your IRA. So that affects people that have maybe a high income. That these next year they're going to have, this limitation apply. Well, they can donate directly from their IRA, and you avoid those limitations.
Aha. Okay. So wait a minute. You gave us like this flow chart. Now I'm understanding why. I just want to ask you, why did you put a flow chart out there? I wanted to see it, if we could call it that graphic. And just talk to me about this is so complicated now that this is how you have to do it?
Yeah, the state and local tax limitations. That's where it talks about your state and local taxes and whether or not you itemize or not. And that's on the right-hand side. And if you do itemize, then that's where next year you're going to be able to deduct between $10,000 and $40,000. There's certain limitations where it kicks back.
But why are you talking about next year when, I've got to do this year still, right?
Well, it helps me understand whether you're going to have a problem next year or not.
So you're saying do some stuff this year.
Yeah, because if I know I got a problem next year, then I might want to, and the point would be too, I might be itemizing next year because in the past I didn't, but now I am going to itemize because state and local taxes, I can deduct my real estate taxes and my income taxes, so I'll be itemizing. And a lot of people have not been itemizing for several years.
I have always been an itemizer. I was always told by a wonderful accountant that was a better thing to do. Is it?
Well, you need typically have a mortgage. A lot of people don't have a mortgage interest. Also, taxes are limited to $10,000. So whether you're married or single, it makes a difference, those limitations, and how much your mortgage is, how much your taxes are, and then do you donate or not? Because few people are able to deduct medical expenses.
Got it. Okay. Well, we know that we need someone like you to help sort all this out.
It
as
is
I'm listening to you. I didn't think it would be that complicated, but we do have a link to your practice at what'shappeninginhealth.com. You are, remind us, in the Oakley area, as I recall.
That's the law firm. Now, my CPA firm is MMB CPAs in Blue Ash. So I merged my CPA firm. So MMB CPAs is in Pfeiffer Road, the Pfeiffer Woods building, and a great team of professionals that I joined with last year. And just completed my first year. My merger has been great.
Oh, good. We're glad to hear that. You're looking well. Glad to have you back today. Yeah, glad to have you. All right, coming up, a bridge that is linking two northern Kentucky cities is closing soon. We're going to tell you about some new options that may lessen the impact if that neighborhood is near you. Stay with us.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Mount St. Joseph University and Advanced Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center.
In Healthy on the Go, where we talk about transportation in your health, getting closer to the full closure of the Kentucky 8 bridge that links both Covington and Newport. In January, the bridge will close for all traffic, while a replacement bridge is built over the Licking River. Now, these are the pictures of what the new bridge is expected to look like, including a dedicated lane for bikes and pedestrians during the closure, and Tank will also provide free shuttle services, and the route will start in January and then will run 7 days per week. We have a link if you want to find out about route information. It's all on our website at what'shappeninginhealth.com. A couple headlines before we go. Chronic kidney disease is on the rise worldwide. An NYU Langone health study found that 1.5 million people died from this condition in 2023. That's an increase of 6% compared to 30 years ago. It's now one of the top 10 causes of death worldwide. Chronic kidney disease, often underdiagnosed, but when caught early, it can be treated with medications and lifestyle. Back next week. Hope you will be too. Stay well, everybody.